Hey Cake Nieces, it's Marisha. This is a very special video to me. It's very dear to my heart. If you guys remember back in January, I said that my baby sister was expecting a baby and I made some cupcakes for her gender reveal. This time around, I am making the cake and cupcakes for her baby shower. I'm going to have a separate video which will show you all how I did this setup for the cake. A couple of years ago, I did a single tier pillow cake. This time around, I'm doing a 2-tier pillow cake. I have been wanting to do a 2-tier pillow cake forever. The color scheme was brown and beige, and teddy bears, there was like at least 100 teddy bears with his name, Shamir, on the ribbon. I'm going to show you all how I made the cake for my baby sister and my nephew and my brother-in-law. I can't forget. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Press on the notification bell. Let's get started. Okay, Cake Nieces, let's get into this video. Over the span of 2 days that it took me to make this cake, I made so many cakes I had to use my stock pot. And in the Wilton pillow pan set comes 3 different sizes: small, medium, and large. We're going to be using medium and large for this video. To make this cake not stick, you have to use some type of non-stick goop, is what I call it. It's a mixture of shortening, oil, and flour. Cover the pan in that goop. Pour in your batter. I baked it at 350 for about 35 minutes and it comes out perfectly. You're going to have to bake 2 of each so that we can sandwich both halves together. The first thing that I'm going to do is level out the cake, and then I did hit it up with a good amount of simple syrup to keep it moist. Next, I have my vanilla buttercream. I will make sure to leave the link for the vanilla buttercream and my vanilla cake recipe in the description below. And then we are going to add the second layer of cake. Now to do that, I have to use a board, flip it over, and what had happened was I set my oven to about 450 or 500 degrees. That bad boy baked in a matter of 15 minutes, okay? The outside was burnt, but the inside was actually perfect. It was actually really, really soft. So I just took about 20 minutes, took off all of that browning, and you could not tell whatsoever that the cake was overbaked. I flipped over the entire cake because it was no longer smooth and I wanted to have a perfect smoothness. I'm going to cover the whole cake in frosting. And then because I have that cake that I kind of butchered on the bottom, I do want to take some of the good cake scraps that I have from leveling the cake off and kind of push them in so that no matter where I cut the cake, there's going to be a whole piece of moist cake. And let me tell you guys, when I cut into the cake later on, I totally forgot that I even did this step. I could not tell the difference. I'm going to smooth out my frosting as much as possible and pop that in the refrigerator so that we can move on to the next cake. Now this is the medium-sized cake. Same process. Your pan, some non-stick goop, baked in the oven for about 30 minutes. Now one thing that you should do, this pan set does come with a metal center and it allows for the cake to bake evenly and a lot faster than it would without it. So if you don't have a metal center, use a piping tip. I hit my cake up with simple syrup, put frosting in the center, sandwich the 2, frosting on the outside, and then in the refrigerator it goes. While my cakes were refrigerating, I went ahead and made 75 chocolate cupcakes. This is my chocolate cupcake recipe. It is amazing. I was so happy that I got this step done while my cakes were setting in the fridge. It's all about being proactive. Because we are making a tiered cake, we need to make sure that the board for the top tier does not show. So I have an 8-inch cake board. I put that on the bottom of the cake, and I'm using an edible food writer to outline the cake, and I'm going to cut the outline of that cake so that it fits the pillow cake perfectly, so that when I put one on top of the other, you cannot see the cake board at all. Now, my favorite way to smooth out frosting like this is to simply put a glove on and smooth it out using my body heat. So simple, and it works. Now this cake is going to be beige. I've already made my homemade marshmallow fondant, which I will also leave the video for that in the description. I'm rolling up my fondant using my rolling pin so that I can drape it over the cake, and then I'm going to carefully just smooth that fondant onto the cake. And this did take me a little while to do because my buttercream was already hard, so you may have to do a little spritz of water to make it stick. I'm going to trim away all of that fondant, leaving behind a beautiful cake that is ready to get that pillowy cushion on there. I'm going to do that by using a cake scraper. I'm not going to use a roller because that's a little bit too much for me, but I am going to use another cake scraper. That cake scraper probably has between 1 and 1.5 inch spaces. Either way, it's a perfect guide for me to make my cushion, so I'm going to do that. Are a couple of instances where I pushed my cake scraper too deep into the fondant and hit the cake, but I can fix that later. It's no problem. I'm going to make little indentations at all of the cross points, and then I'm going to put a gold pearl in the center of each cross. That cake is done for now. Let's move on to the big one. And the big cake always makes me nervous because it's so big. The only way that I can get the fondant onto a cake this large is to use a mat, preferably a silicone fondant mat. You roll the fondant out onto the mat, and then you take the fondant with the mat attached and you drape that entire thing onto the cake. And it works every time. I really can't imagine trying to do it any other way. Once I get it on there, I'm smoothing the fondant onto the cake, and then I'm going to trim away that extra fondant. We're going to do the same steps that we did for the beige cake, and we're going to use the cake scraper once again as a guide to make our diagonal lines. And the reason why I chose to do brown on the bottom and beige on the top is because I made a teddy bear, which I'm going to do a separate video on. The teddy bear is brown, so I wanted it to go brown, beige, brown. One thing that I was really battling with was if I should use small pearls or medium pearls, and I think either way it's going to look good. So now we're going to make the trim of the cake and the tassel. I just simply rolled out a long strand of fondant, twisted it together, and then used a little bit of water to apply it to the cake. And this finishes the cake off nicely. I take another little piece of twisted fondant and add it to the corners of the cake. I just do like 2 of them. You can see some extra indents, which I go in and I fix later on by making a little bit of fondant paste, which is just fondant and water, and setting it into those crevices to cover some of my mistakes. I'm using my beige fondant specifically for the trim so that when I paint them with my gold luster dust, that gold will really show through. And this gold is the Rokin brand gold, luster dust, and a little bit of vodka. I am going to go ahead and put my dowels into the cake, which are just bubble tea straws. I get massive amounts of bubble tea straws for probably under $10 because they're just straws. They're perfect for this. So I put one into the cake, and then I just cut it flush up against the cake and measure 3 more so that they're all the same height. I can take my beige cake and put it on top of the brown cake, and oh my goodness, okay? Those cakes are gonna be separated for the night and put back in the fridge, and I can finish my cupcakes. It is now about 2 a.m. I was so happy to finish these cupcakes. I put a little bit of gold leaf and some gold pearls, which I didn't show, but you'll see that in the next video. This is the completed cake. This is the teddy bear. It took me about 3 Marvel movies to make that teddy bear, but you will see that in another video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. Couture and a 2-tiered pillow cake. Bye guys. You know how when you make a cake, you usually send it off, you rarely get to cut into it. I got to actually serve this cake and I got to eat it, Everything, my years of experience, I can taste it now. Of course, I saw little flaws, but I always see little flaws. So many people came up to me and said, "That's the cake?" The guy that helped me in was like, "Excuse me, ma'am, I thought that that was a real pillow." And I'm so glad right now that I did not touch it to see how soft it was. I busted out laughing, and it fed a good amount of people. The bottom tier alone, 30 servings, 30 thick servings out of it. The cake needs to comment of the day is going to go to Tamara O'Brien on my moist blue velvet cake big batch baking video. Tamara said, "I'm an Aquarius. My colors are black, purple, and mint." In that video, I asked all the Aquarians to leave their favorite color down below because it's typically blue, white, and or silver. And y'all have been commenting talking about yellow, girl, purple, and I'm like, what? I could totally see the mint because mint, you know, that's right there. That's right there in that aqua arena. So if you would like to be featured in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below. Say hello. Look out for the next video. It's a whole setup. It's a vlog. I had a lot of fun doing it, and you get to see some of my family, so I'm really excited to share that with you all. Check out my website, MarishasCoutureCakes.com. I may be adding this teddy bear to my shop. If I can imagine myself making this, it was about this big. I actually put 2 dowels on the top tier so that I could sit the topper on there for an extended amount of time without worrying. It probably wasn't necessary, but better safe than sorry. I've already been through some stuff. I don't need any more, okay? I will see y'all in the next video. Bye, Cakenistas. Summer, summer, summertime. Time. Can I just tell you guys, the delivery was insane because it was 95 degrees that day. And I'm gonna just say it felt like 125. So stressed trying to deliver cupcakes.